Good afternoon and welcome to ATN Society Watch. This is a program where we spotlight societal issues, give them a collective attention, and work towards solutions that make society better for everyone. On the headlines today, inheritance. 85-year-old woman sues son over property documents. Economy. Teachers boost poor salaries through classroom trading. And drug trafficking. NDLEA nabs businessman hiding cocaine in his private parts. And finally, patricide. 23-year-old son kills father with machete. We're open for sponsorship of this program, jingles and advertisements, news and event coverage, personality, society, and political interviews, product service promotion, and commercials. Watch us live on www.atlanticnetwork.tv, Avo TV channel 205, Limex TV platform, Afastech platform, Apple TV, Niger TV, Iroko TV. Connect with us on ATN socials. Subscribe, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. And on X, at Atlantic Network. We're going on a short break, and when we return, I will introduce my guest, and we will dive right into the story. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Joining me on the show today is Mr. Raphael George Alali. Mr. Raphael is a social activist and a public affairs analyst. You're welcome, Mr. Alali.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's so beautiful having you on the show today.
Thank you very much.
I hope we have a beautiful show together.
Please don't mind.
All right, and now on to the story. An 85-year-old woman, Mrs. Herienta Fawehinmi, has asked a Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt to compel her son, Professor Hakeem Fawehinmi, to return the original title documents of several properties she owns in the state. The request follows a legal dispute initiated by Professor Fawehinmi and his sister, challenging the sale of one of the properties by the mother to a third party, Ichie Ikenna Onu. Mrs. Fawehinmi told the court she personally owns the disputed properties and has revoked all previous deeds of gift to her children due to persistent family conflicts. She denied the existence and validity of any will transferring the properties to her children and claimed she paid 82 million naira to her son for the release of the documents, which he allegedly refused to hand over. She further accused her children of neglecting her in old age while fighting over assets, alleging financial and corporate control abuse by her son. The buyer of the disputed property, Ichie Ikena Ono, denied the children's claims and asked the court to dismiss the case, calling it a gold-digging attempt. I mean, Mr. Alali, this is a quite controversial one when we see families now fighting, parents fighting with children because of properties. When you look at this story, at first glance, what do you think is wrong? Is it the mother or the children? I mean, the son. What is your take on this report?
Okay. First and foremost, the major issue in content here is about rights to inheritance. You can claim rights to an inheritance that has not been transferred from the original owner to you. So if you're talking about rights to inheritance, who is wrong and who is right here within this context? The person transferring the wealth, the property, within the context of this case at which we are looking at, is denying the fact that she hasn't transferred the wealth to the person. So you're claiming rights over a property that is not yours. It's baseless before a competent court of jurisdiction. I'm not a lawyer, but I know too, I'm very much familiar with the law that whatever has not been transferred to you, you can claim ownership of it. Even if you have, you enjoy some certain rights on the grounds that of being a son or a relative to the original owner of the property, that does not make you the owner of the property. Does not equally give you a right to own any property or to inherit any property you stand to enjoy or you are enjoying within the confines of the person who owns it. So
all right, I like to come in at this point. All right, you said the woman has denied that she hasn't handed any properties to the son. Now, in the story, yes, that is what she said. But the report has it that she had gifted this property to the son. She's not denying that fact. But she is now saying she wants it back because she feels that the children are now only fighting about the properties, inheritance, and all that, and has now neglected her. She's not taken care of. Rather, her children are busy fighting over the property that she had gifted to the son. And if you follow the report accurately, you see that she even paid the sum of 82 million naira to the son to give her back the documents back in the property. It wasn't inheritance. This is a gift. So I know we are not legal practitioners, but if you were one, then the question would have been, are gifts revocable by the law? When you give out, we have cases of people that are cases like, you know, two couples being in a relationship, and then when they fall out, the man in question will say, everything I've given to you, I want to take it back. So this is something like that. Probably when the son was nice, the woman had given her these properties as a gift. But now she feels that the love is no longer there. They do not have a time again. And then at old age, she is battling loneliness. And so she wants her properties back, because they are fighting over it, by the way, which she thinks has made them to forget her. So this is a case of children fighting, battling over properties, and a mother battling loneliness. So can you look at it from this angle?
Okay. There are two sides to a coin in this matter. One of the side is, you're looking at it from the point of jurisprudence. Jurisprudence in the context that the willing of the property has, if you have to look at it from the point of jurisprudence in the context that if the gifting of the property, the willing of the property was done within the competent court of jurisdiction, within letters, it was properly done, and it was willed to the son, you know, at that point in time, anything you willed out on your own consent, you weren't mentally disabled, but you willed it out. Revoking it, I don't think there's any relevant section of the Constitution of which I'm not aware of. As I said earlier, I'm not a lawyer and I can't tell to what extent, where you can, retrieve it back. Now, if, let us assume that she gave out the property to her son on the grounds that, yes, because the both of them, the son and the other lady, they are both her children. If she willed out to them on the grounds that, yes, they are her children, without any legal backing, there and then, she can decide to say, I want to get these properties back. I want to get these properties back because I gave you in good confidence that you will manage it in my absence, and on the grounds that you've left because from what she said the young man mismanaged one of the hospitals. She willed to the son. From the story, the young man sold one of the hospitals, and on that note, owing to the fact that the young man has been a bit reckless and they've been fighting over her properties, leaving her in loneliness, she decided to sell off. She has decided to sell off the properties to one Ichie Ono. If there was no legal backing, portraying the facts or pinpointing the fact that she sold she willed the properties to the son, she can equally say, okay, please retrieve the document, or I want the document. But if at all she has gifted it and there's a legal document backing the fact that it has been willed to the son, then she has no locus fighting over the properties she has gifted to the son.
But let's also look at the part where she said she even had to pay the sum of 82 million naira to the son just to get the documents back. And mind you, the son collected the money, but has refused to still hand over the documents. Don't you see this as a case of bullying? And mind you, this woman is an 85-year-old woman. I mean, this woman is old. I mean, stressing your own mother, your own aged mother to this extent. Why did you collect the money and why don't you want to give back the if you're not going to give back the document, why did he collect the money? And considering this woman's age, don't you think this is bullying?
Okay, if I must be very honest and be very sincere, we should not look at this issue from a moralistic point of view. We should not be too moralistic. The law is the law, as it states clearly.
But I actually want us to
look at it from two sides.
Yes, was to look at it from both sides, and mostly the moral aspect of it.
Okay.
We Nigerians, we have big business to do with culture and traditions, respect for elders and all that. So we have to look at it from that angle too.
Okay. If we are to look at it from a cultural and moralistic point of view, yes, it is expected that whatever property you own, your children should be able to manage it in love, keeping to the family bond. Because in Africa, this Africanness we always have as parents, is expected that your children should be united even in your absence. So if you are looking at it from a moralistic point of view, it's expected that they should manage the properties in unity even in her absence. So when she saw that they were fighting over the properties and they've left her in loneliness, she decided to retrieve those properties back. But as a person, I have to bring my own personal conviction into it. Yes, the young man, the professor, because I won't call him a young man anymore, because he's a professor, I'm considering his social status, as somebody who has a sound mind and a sound soul. He was supposed to battle over it. The mother gave him some of
82 million
naira. If he actually collected the money from the mother, without returning the property, he has tricked the mother, and it's a criminal offense for you to agree. Because for him to collect the money, it shows consent. He has agreed to return the properties willed to him or the properties gifted him to the original owner, being the mother. So if you're looking at it, you're looking at it from a point of somebody who is suffering from a moral decadence, for not actually adhering to a gentleman agreement you had with your mom. You understand? So it shows a high level of insincerity. It shows a high level of impurity when it comes to being open-minded, in terms of being sincere to your mother, the person who willed the property to you. That is where I'm coming in. So if this within that context, if at all he collected the money and refused returning the property to the mother, then he is morally wrong. He doesn't have the moral authority to even go to court challenging the property with his mom, if at all he collected the money from his mom. That is one. Then now, if you're looking from a legal point of view, you know, you're looking from the legal framework, any property that has been gifted from party A to party B on the consent of party A, and documents have been signed showing transfer of rights, transfer of will from party A to party B, the right of ownership of party A ceases immediately the contract has been signed. So the mother now coming to claim rights to the property she has willed to her son, or she has gifted to her son, as the case may be, it doesn't have a clear standing, except a competent court of jurisdiction, you know, would interpret. Thank God the matter is in the court. So discussing issues that are in court would be more or less to be termed as contempt of court. So it is left for the justices, you know, to look at the side of the law and equally interpret and decide on who is at fault here. Because ordinarily we're looking at it from a moralistic point of view. Yes, you can throw your emotions to say the son is wrong. Yes, after being given so much properties to manage, you know, you never bought them. You were gifted the properties and you're unable to manage them. The person who gifted you the property, you're unable to take care of the person at old age, because it's expected in the African culture that yes, the children are expected to be the parents to are expected to be the parents at old age when their parents are old. You know, they're supposed to take care of them at old age. But for the fact that the young man has ceased to, you know, play that role expected of the mother, the young man is morally wrong, you know, within the context of the African society. But we are looking from the point of the law. Any property willed from party A to party B, and once the documents has been signed, party A ceases ownership of that property, except you gave the properties to the person to manage on your behalf. So, you know, so there's a difference when you give out something to somebody to manage. Let me set an instance. If I should give out my company to somebody or my business to somebody to manage on my behalf, you know, it is expected that I should be paying the person monthly to manage the property. So once I found out managing the property or the business or the company, as the case may be, in the best interest at which I expected it, I equally have the right, because I own the property, I own the documents, to retrieve the properties or the business from you. So within this context, if at all there is a legal document showing transfer of will or showing that gifts that the mother has gifted the property to the son, then the mother, to a large extent, doesn't have a local standing over the property, except a competent court of jurisdiction decides over the matter.
All right. Thank you so much for this great analysis. I really hope that this family had other ways of handling these private family issues rather than taking it to the court. But then we have to go to the next story now. Teachers in many private schools are now struggling to survive as poor salaries fail to meet rising living costs. Some still earn as low as 20,000 naira to 35,000 naira monthly, far below Nigeria's 70,000 naira minimum wage, forcing many to resign for better paying jobs outside the education sector. Those who remain in the profession now adopt survival strategies, including petty trading inside classrooms, running side businesses, taking extra classes, or working part-time jobs. Teachers say their passion for teaching is being tested by low delayed salaries and plans by some school owners to deduct taxes despite wages falling below the legal minimum. Former teachers recount experiences of unpaid salaries, verbal abuse, and harsh working conditions, which eventually pushed them out of the classroom. The situation highlights growing concerns about the welfare of the teachers, the quality of education, and the sustainability of teaching as a profession in Nigeria's current economic climate. You know, Mr. Alali, when it comes to the educational sector, when it comes to teachers and private schools and all of this, I am very much concerned, you know. I mean, how do you look at this report generally? You know, the question is, when those who are saddled with the responsibility of shaping our children's future are paid 20,000 naira a month, and now they are now struggling for survival, what do you expect of the education sector? How will these people be able to carry out their roles effectively when, on the other hand, they are busy struggling to survive with 20,000 naira salary? What's your take on this report?
You know, there are areas you don't toy with. The soul of every society lies in two areas: national security, health, and education. These are three vital areas that necessitates government, that necessitates administration. And when a government is unable to take care of the security of persons, of lives and properties, to ensure good health and provide education, sustainable education, not just education, a sustainable education that meets the demands of the 21st century needs, the demands of the 21st century, then the society is designed to collapse. Now, within the context of this story of teachers being underpaid, especially in the private sector, right?
Yes.
So especially in the private sector, it's a very sudden situation where their pay, their monthly pay is unable to meet up with the present economic realities. We all can attest the level of inflation in Nigeria. A bag of rice is, at least, is about 65 to 70,000 naira, all thanks to the present government, you know, for subsidizing the cost of rice. Aside the cost of rice, the cost of rentage, the cost of feeding, the cost of transportation, the cost of utility bills, coupled together, cannot sustain, cannot meet, cannot be commensurate with what is being paid to teachers. So now, a situation whereby teachers are being underpaid in the private sector, it throws a whole lot of question about the moral, it throws a whole lot of questions about the moral authority owners of private schools carry. Because as a matter of fact, you cannot establish a school and students are expected to pay the sum of 50, 60, 70,000 naira as the case may be per child. And let me say a certain instance, if you have about 100 students in a class and you're charging 50,000 naira, you have about 500,000 naira, if I'm not mistaken, or 5 million naira, yes, 5 million naira. And you're paying your teachers 20,000, 40,000 naira. It is man's inhumanity to man. It shows modern slavery. Because he expects the cost of teaching, the cost of acquiring education, especially I'm an educationist. I have a Bachelor of Sciences and Education, and I know what it means to afford a textbook, I know what it means to afford to pay my fees from my year 1 to final year. And at the end of the day, I come to your school and you're paying me 30,000 or 40,000 as the case may be. It is very miniature. Unwelcoming.
It's good that you looked at it from this point too. You consider the fact that these teachers who are hired and paid 20,000, 30,000, these people went to school for 4 years, paid school fee, attended night classes, bought textbooks, suffered, stayed hungry, spent money in school. And then when they graduate, they go to these private schools to apply for jobs, and they are offered to be paid 20,000, 30,000. And due to the situation of the country, when it comes to lack of job, these individuals have no option but to take up these jobs. Now, a private school owner hires an adult, and then they have to work for 5 days in a week, and then you are paying this person 20,000. 5 days in a week, in 1 month, we have 25 days. Am I correct? No, 2 days.
20 days, yeah.
Divide the 20,000 that they are being paid by, divide the money, try to look at it each day, how much these individuals are being paid. You see that in a day, a teacher that left his or her house in the morning, resumed work by 7 and closed by 4, 5, as the case may be, is earning just 1,000 naira. And then you see one teacher having to teach 4, 5, 6 subjects, and having to teach 4, 5, 6 classes. Now, if you go to schools, you see that some teachers are not even teaching what they studied. You see a teacher that studied something differently. They just pick the person and just place you there, give you subject things, even when you clearly tell them that this is not what I studied. Just because they want to economize, they just put you there. Now, let's try to look at the effect this is causing in our educational sector. A situation where we now have a teacher selling in the same classroom she's teaching. So myself as a student, while I'm looking at the blackboard where the teacher is writing, I'm also eyeing the biscuits that she has placed in front of the class selling. Have you been a teacher before, Mr. Alali? Can you tell us briefly your experience and how it was for you?
Actually, an average Nigerian who doesn't have the needed connection, a young graduate, the only job a young graduate after graduation is teaching, if at all you know what you went to school to study. That's an ordeal I always reserve for myself. But for the purpose of this program, after service, I went to apply to one of the schools here in Port Harcourt, and I was given JS3 to SS3 to teach government and civics. The first day I entered the class, on Monday, I taught civics, JS1, government, SS1, SS2, SS3. That was from 10 till 12. I was already gapsing. I possess mastery. I actually possess mastery of a subject matter as a trained professional teacher. But I was so choked with the workload given to me. I was expected to write lesson notes, for each of the subjects. So after 1 week, I voluntarily resigned. I did not even get across to the teachers. I did not even write a resignation letter. It was as worse as that. I stopped taking their calls and I told them I'm not coming to the school anymore. How much were they bargaining to pay me? 30,000 naira.
I mean,
as a young graduate who is expected to pay his bills, I'm supposed to pay my transport, I'm supposed to take care of myself, my feeding, my utility bills, I'm supposed to take care of my laundry, and you're paying me 30,000 naira. What am I going to do with 30,000 naira for crying out loud? So I left that business, that teaching profession, and I went into business. And here I am today. The rest is history. And
that's what is happening in our society today. You see that a lot of private school teachers now are now running to go and do POS business. A lot of them, you ask them, even some of the, in the report we have it where former teachers are saying they had to leave to go into POS businesses. Now the question is, why is this like this with this system? Why is it like this in the private school sector? Why are private schools underpaying teachers? I mean, do you think it could be, one of the reasons could be that these private schools are more of businesses than educational institutions? Don't you see it that way? And then, what consequences should these private schools that underpays teachers face? And then, who are even the bodies responsible for monitoring these private schools? We have the Board of Education that's supposed to go around check what teacher is teaching what. Check how much these teachers are being paid. Check the working environment. Are they really doing their job? Are they doing enough? Is it that nobody is monitoring these things? So private schools can just, anybody can just come up, open a private school, hire teachers, pay them a penny, and then you saddle them with loads of responsibility. Give a teacher what he did not study to teach.
Okay.
I mean...
You've asked the question and you've gone a bit to answer the questions. Because it is actually a burden. It's a societal burden. The issue here is, if you're looking at who to blame, we are seeing it as, I'll see it from the point of government. There is a negligence in the regulatory policies of government to ensure compliance with already laid down established rules of engagement in the labor market.
Okay.
The national minimum wage states clearly that an average worker, an average laborer in either the public or the private sector is entitled to the sum of 70,000 naira per month. Anything outside 70,000 naira per month is a breach of labor relations. And the reason for this consistent subjugation of teachers in the private sector to this small peanut they call salary is as a result of the negligence of the government to stand up to its responsibilities by ensuring strict regulatory policy, especially in the non-governmental sector, the private sector, to ensure compliance to labor laws. Because you can imagine, it is very saddening that a teacher will be subjected to the sum of 30 to 40,000 naira per month in an organization that is making so much money at the end of the day, while the workers are suffering. The teachers, the owners of this private institutions smile to the bank, while the teachers frown to the grave. How much is the cost of medical bills, as a matter of fact? If a teacher is going to teach from Monday to Friday, you're teaching and you break down, how much is malaria tablets? Because you don't just have to just go to meet somebody in the pharmacy to get medication. You have to go to the hospital, you have to be diagnosed, you know, at least you have to run a test, then you will be given prescription, you go to the pharmacist, and you get medication. So the cost of even running the test, yes, is a bit cheap, but the cost of the medication alone, sometimes it's about 30,000 to 40,000 naira. So it has to tell you the level of poverty and the untold hardship teachers in the private sector go through. And when once they try to give in their best, they try to go to teach, to what extent can they give in their best to ensure that our children have the quality education expected of the parents? Because you can just imagine that the parent will send a child to a school, to a private school, and at the end of the day, the parent is expecting that, okay, at the end of the day, my child is expected to, maybe I want my son to be a medical doctor. Maybe the child even has already indicated interest. I want to be a medical doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an astrologist. I want to be an actor, and I want to be whatever they want to be. And you're trying to build, you're trying to mold your child, you know, within the scope of that career prospect. And at the end of the day, you're seeing the results is not tallying with the child's aspiration. You'll be so disappointed because you've invested so much into that education. But at the end of the day, you're seeing that the fault is not coming from the child, but it's coming from the proprietors, the owners of those institutions, because they are not paying the teachers enough for them to dispense the knowledge into the children. Because take it or leave it, you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand.
That's it.
Teachers must be motivated so they can be well equipped to transmit knowledge from the teacher to the learner. But when once there is no enabling environment, when once their remuneration is not appreciated, it's not increased, they can't give in their best. That is just it. Because one of the principles involved in education, motivation is a key factor.
Yes.
You can't just tell a teacher to come and teach when he's not being motivated. He cannot come to class to transmit knowledge from the teacher to the learner when he's coming to class with an empty stomach. It doesn't work that way. Even if you're a first-class graduate, even if you've been teaching for 10 years, you can't go to teach with an empty stomach. So a whole lot is expected of the government to ensure that there is a strong regulatory policy to ensure compliance with labor laws, compliance with the laws of the land. Any private sector that fails to pay her employees the required national minimum wage is expected to face the law.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alali, for this great analysis. To this end, before we move on to the next story, the message is, education is a bedrock of every society, and the private school teachers' welfare matters. If you must get the best out of anything, then you have to put in the best. All right, now on to the next story. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, have arrested a Brazil-based Nigerian businessman, Uche Franklin Onyekwere, at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos, over alleged cocaine trafficking. The 47-year-old suspect was apprehended on Thursday, January 29, 2026, while arriving on a South African Airways flight from Brazil via Johannesburg, following actionable intelligence. According to the NDLEA, a body scan conducted during inward passenger clearance revealed concealed substances on the suspect, prompting a strip search. Officers discovered wraps of cocaine hidden around his right thigh and inside the soles of his footwear. In total, 3 wraps of cocaine with a combined weight of 1.60 kilograms were recovered. During preliminary interrogation, Onyekwere reportedly admitted buying the drugs in Brazil with the intention of reselling them in Nigeria. He claimed the proceeds were meant to boost his business and finance the naming ceremony of his newborn child. NDLEA officials says investigations are ongoing. I mean, Mr. Lally, the big question here to begin with is financial pressure, its lack, its poverty, a justification for crime, for trafficking drugs? Let's start from there. What's your take?
Okay, let me be a bit philosophical. Okay, there's one thing we call in philosophy, there's what we call consequentialism. Consequentialism states clearly that the actions and inactions of people is guided based on the consequences of the actions they take. You don't just act or take a decision without being conscious of the consequences. A society without rules is bound to face anarchy. And for the moral for the moral conduct of every human being, there must be laid down rules or regulations to bind your activities, your actions, and your inactions. Poverty is not a yardstick for you to indulge yourself in illicit activities. As a matter of fact, drug trafficking is not just a national offense, it's an international offense. Yes. Because as a matter of fact, let me just draw attention away from what we just wanted to discuss. One of the reasons claimed by the President of the United States of America for the invasion of Venezuela is as a result of drug trafficking, international trafficking of drugs. So it is not just a national offense, it's an international offense, punishable by both local laws and international laws. So telling the law enforcement agencies, the the narcotic agents that is because he wanted to fund his business and fund the naming ceremony of his son. It's very trivial, very unacceptable, very irrational, and very unthinkable for you to make such trivial reasons for indulging yourself in an illicit activity that contravene the laws of the land and both international laws. It goes a long way to vilify or demonize the identity of Nigerians in diaspora. It goes a long way to to paint an average Nigerian who is lawfully doing his or her business outside as an average drug trafficker, as a swindler, and somebody who is insincere with the laws of the land at which he or she is residing. It is very uncalled for. It does not represent the identity of a true Nigerian, because it's expected that if you're doing any business outside, you should do it lawfully within the framework of the laws of that land.
Talking about the identity of a true Nigerian, you know, I've been trying to reason this whole thing and trying to make it make sense. Maybe you can help me make this make sense. How a patriotic Nigerian will decide to make his own country a dumping site for drugs. Now, he wanted to come back home. He bought these drugs to come and resell. He didn't see anything else to buy. It's drugs. He bought these drugs and brought them to his own country in a bid to destroy the future of the youths of his country. How?
That takes us back to the issue of morality. You know, you can't take away morality in civil conduct. Yes, there are laws, but there are some persons who are morally deprived, like they lack this self-restraint from taking certain decisions. It is very, very wrong for somebody, as you've earlier stated, to see your country as a dumping site. Of all things in Brazil, Brazil is a growing economy that is more into agriculture. I mean, you can buy things like wheat, you can buy things like anything, you know, edible, and come down to Nigeria to sell. But for the fact that you see your country as a dumping site, it shows you lack the moral grounds to do business, and to a large extent, you've painted Nigeria on a very bad image, especially in this era where we are trying to, you know, revitalize and, you know, and remake the identity of Nigerians in diaspora.
All right, thank you so much for that great analysis. And now, Mr. Alali, we have a very tragic right on our table to conclude with. A tragic incident rocked Ugep in Yako local government area of the Cross River State on Sunday, where a 23-year-old man identified as Basi Ubi allegedly killed his father by slitting his throat with a machete. The attack reportedly happened at O3 Palace, Usaja, in Iwaka Pits ward shortly after the victim returned home from church. The deep machete cut to the neck led to the father's immediate death, throwing the community into chaos. Following the incident, angry residents reportedly attempted to lynch the suspect before police officers arrived and rescued him from the mob. The police public relations officer, ASP Sunday, residents always report suspected crimes through lawful channels, assuring that anyone found culpable either in committing crimes or engaging in jungle justice will be prosecuted according to the law. I mean, what could make a young man to take the life of his own father so tragically, slitting his throat with a machete? How is this not too terrible? And then we now see that the excuse given for this, the reason given for this, is that he was under the influence of drugs. Meanwhile, we just talked about drugs. How a young man is busy pushing drugs into Nigeria, and he gives the excuse that he needs money for naming ceremony and he needs to boost his business. And here now we have the consequences of these drugs that they have been pushing in. Please make the whole story make sense.
I don't actually need to actually explain this further. It is very glaring that there is a ripple consequences of drug abuse in the society. It has a whole lot of consequences. It destroys it destroys you as a person, the addict. It equally has an adverse effect on the people around you. It has an adverse effect on the society. It has an adverse effect on the economy. So now it is unbecoming. It's not ideal for a son to take the life of his parents. So does it equally apply to the parents taking the life of their son? Because it is expected that as a parent, there is this strong bond between you. There's supposed to be this strong bond between you and your children, as higher animals, as human beings as we are, even in a lion's pride, there is this respect for the father by the son. Even animals, they do respect their parents.
Yes.
You understand? Even if you're trying to look at the setting between primates like the gorillas and the monkeys, they respect, they understand, they know their parents. If you're talking about the life of wolves, they equally respect their parents. Are you getting me? So now we are coming back to human beings that are higher animals, that are Homo sapiens, have the free will to make decisions for themselves. But there's a saying that animals are controlled by instinct, but only man obeys by choice. So this is your parent, and it's expected that you are to care, protect them. But for the fact that you have failed to care and protect, and you're the one taking the life of your parent, it shows you're not mentally stable. And it's as a result of the addiction or the intake of illicit drugs that has actually damaged the senses, the brains. Because in psychology, there are some levels of mental depression or mental ailment. We call the neurosis, one we call the psychosis. When you're neurotic, it can be manageable. Once it goes psychotic, it is out of proportion. So someone who is psychotic can even kill his own parents, can even sleep with his own parents, can even do things unconsciously. So that's to tell you the effect of drug abuse. As a matter of fact, Cross River State is where I actually did my national youth service, and they are very hospitable people. I passed from Ogeb to, it was from Ogeb to Obobora. So that area is very hospitable. Cross Riverians are very nice people. They are very accommodating, but it's very saddening. It's so unfortunate that such incident actually happened. But if you and I can attest to the fact that young man was not himself. He was under the influence of alcohol, influence of drugs, illicit drugs, hard drugs. That's to tell you the effect of drug abuse on the society. So it was not, I believe so well, I strongly believe so well that he was not in his right senses. Even though there's no amount of provocation, parents that should amount you to take the life of a parent, there is no amount of provocation. So I believe so well the young man was under the influence of alcohol, under the influence of drugs. And people trying to take more action on the young man. We have rules and regulations. We have an institutional framework, and the Nigerian state has the right. You don't have the right to take the life of another. It's only the states that has the right, the sole right to take the life of a person. As a matter of fact, they are equally petitions, they are equally write-ups against capital punishment in Nigeria.
So you don't even have the right to take the life of another person, even if the young man has committed an offense. You know, yes, he's committed murder, killed his parent, but you equally don't have the right to take the life of that person, except the Nigerian government, except the law enforcement agencies, taking up actions against the person. So it goes a long way to show you, to tell you the level of illicit drugs, in the society, and the high time the government, Nigerian government, look into those who are into the sales, who are into the production of these hard drugs, those who are into the sale of these hard drugs, those who equally permit the transportation of these drugs from one location to the other, the better for the Nigerian society. So the government have a whole lot to do to mitigate the sales, the production, the imports through our national borders, the transportation, the sales, the retail, and the intake of these drugs.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Alali. I'm so excited. It's been beautiful having you on the show. I wish to have you more often, if that's possible. All right, this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic TV. We're open for sponsorship of this program, jingles and advert placement, news and event coverage, personality, society, and political interviews, product service promotion, and commercials. Watch us live on www.atlanticnetwork.tv, Avo TV channel 205, Limex TV platform, Ifastech TV, Apple TV, Niger TV, Iroko TV. Connect with us on ATN socials, subscribe, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. And on X, at Atlantic TV Net. Remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thanks for watching. I am Ofina Anuja.